Chosen ones, listen carefully. A storm doesn't beg the earth for permission to rage, and neither do you. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to shake the ground beneath them. They watched, plotted, and whispered in dark corners, thinking they held the key to your past. They thought they had uncovered your weaknesses, believing they could use your own story against you. But they weren't prepared for what they found. The more they dug, the more they exposed themselves, their jealousy, their deceit, their fear. They thought they were unmasking you, but in reality, they tore the mask off their own faces. Before we go further, like and subscribe, not for vanity, but for purpose. Every interaction sends a signal to the universe, amplifying this call. It reaches another chosen one, another soul who has felt alone for far too long. You are not alone, and the more this message spreads, the harder it becomes for them to silence us. When you engage, you alert YouTube, and in turn, the universe itself moves in ways they can't stop. Now, let's talk about why they truly fear you. You were never supposed to make it this far. They had set traps, designed obstacles, and created illusions to convince you that you were powerless. But what they failed to realize is that being chosen means you carry something far beyond their understanding. The universe didn't just give you strength, it gave you presence. A force that makes even your silence feel like thunder. A presence that makes them uncomfortable without you saying a single word. They dismissed your intuition as paranoia. They mocked your struggles, hoping to break you. But what they didn't expect was that every fall only made you stronger, sharper, more untouchable. They tried to dim your light, but they forgot one thing. Darkness only exists in the absence of power. And you are power. You are the flame that doesn't flicker, the force that cannot be tamed. Yet here's where I have a bone to pick with you. How dare you doubt yourself? How dare you entertain the lie that you are alone? Have you not seen how the universe moves for you? Have you not noticed how, despite everything, you're still standing, still breathing, still rising? The very forces that tried to break you have only built your resilience. Stop mourning the doors that closed. You weren't locked out, you were being redirected. The path they tried to block was never meant for you. Understand this. When they fought you, they weren't just fighting you, they were fighting the universe itself. And that is a battle they will never win. Their biggest mistake was thinking they were up against a person when, in reality, they were up against a destiny. A force that existed long before they did and will continue long after they're gone. That's why they're afraid. Because no matter how much they scheme, they can't undo what's already written. They can't change the fact that every attack on you has only exposed them. Their envy, their small-mindedness, their desperation. It's all out in the open now. And here you are, unshaken. Chosen one, stop hesitating. Stop questioning your worth. The universe did not choose you by accident. Your presence disturbs them because it reminds them of everything they are not. And that's not your problem. That's their burden to carry. Now, rise. Walk in your power. Let them watch. Let them tremble. Because this is just the beginning. So, are you ready to see the truth unfold step by step? Drop the number 777 in the comments if you're done doubting yourself. If you're ready to own your past, not as a weakness, but as the weapon that shattered them instead. And now, let's get into it. Stay till the end, because if you're a true chosen one, you'll feel the pull to keep watching. This is bigger than you think. Let's begin. Number 1. They thought they were setting a trap. Turns out they were digging their own grave. The same hands that tried to bury you now tremble at what they've unearthed. They thought they were playing a clever game. They whispered, schemed, and moved like shadows, convinced they had control. They believed they could weaponize your past, turn your own history into a noose around your neck. But the fools didn't realize the very thing they sought to use against you was never a weakness. It was the fire that forged you. Every scar, every betrayal, every closed door was never a sign of defeat. It was proof of endurance. They weren't exposing you, they were revealing themselves. And now, they're terrified. They thought you were just another pawn in their system, another piece to be moved, discarded, forgotten. What they didn't anticipate was the force behind you, the universe itself. When the universe chooses, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't explain itself. It simply moves. And when it moves for you, nothing, no lie, no betrayal, no trap can stand in its way. You weren't meant to break. You were meant to bend reality. Yet here you are, still questioning, still wondering why you, still looking at your past like it's something to be ashamed of. How dare you? How dare you doubt the very thing that made you unstoppable? Do you think storms apologize for their chaos? Do you think fire asks for approval before it burns away the weak? You are not here to be understood by those who live in fear. You are here to dismantle the illusion they've spent their lives hiding behind. And that's exactly why they fear you. They weren't just trying to stop you. They were trying to stop the system from correcting itself. Because that's what happens when a chosen one rises. The balance shifts, the illusions crumble, the carefully constructed lies fall apart. The weak panic, the powerful tremble, and the ones who once mocked you now whisper your name with caution. They dug into your past, thinking they would find something to use against you. Instead, they uncovered a force that cannot be controlled. They learned that every loss you took was a lesson. Every betrayal was a refinement. Every moment of pain was a hammer striking steel, forging you into something indestructible. They wanted a confession of weakness. Instead, they found the blueprint of their own downfall. And now they scramble. They spin new lies, desperately trying to rewrite the truth. But it's too late. The universe has already decided. The path is set. And you're still standing. You're still here, against every odd, despite every scheme, because you were never meant to be stopped. You were built for this. So why hesitate now? Why let doubt creep in when even your enemies have recognized your power? The time for questioning is over. The time for second-guessing is gone. They know what you are. Do you? Number 2. They built the system to trap you. Now they're trapped in it themselves. A mind that refuses to be controlled is the greatest threat to those who live in chains. They never feared your past. They feared what you would become once you saw through the illusion. They weren't just trying to break you. They were trying to break the truth before it could be set free. But here's what they never understood. When something is meant to rise, no force, no system, no set of rules can hold it down. You are proof of that. They designed their world to function one way, obedient, controlled, predictable, and then you came along, unshaken, untamed, unapologetically breaking every mold they forced onto others. You weren't supposed to question, you weren't supposed to push back. You were meant to follow, to be another faceless piece in their structure. But you didn't. You never did. That's why they watch you now, scrambling to understand. They study your every move, trying to find the flaw, the weakness, the one mistake that will prove you're just like the rest. But you're not. They feel it in your presence, see it in the way you move through their world untouched by their limitations. They know now there is no breaking you because you were never built by them in the first place. They called you an outsider, a problem, an anomaly. But let me tell you something. Systems don't crumble from the outside. They rot from within. And your existence, it's their biggest crack. They tried to define you by the titles they assigned, by the rules they enforced, by the expectations they shackled onto you. But your power was never in their hands to give or take. Your power is in your refusal to be anything but what you were always meant to be. And that is something they will never understand. They fear you because you prove that the system is flawed. You show them that their rules are nothing but illusions, that their control is nothing but borrowed time. They built their world on the belief that no one could challenge it. But now, with every step you take, every move you make outside their restrictions, you show the cracks widening beneath their feet. And now, they're the ones feeling trapped. They can't erase you, they can't silence you, they can't pretend you don't exist. No matter how much they twist the narrative, no matter how many lies they weave, the truth remains. You are here, and you are not stopping. So why hesitate? Why doubt yourself when even they have accepted the truth about you? They may not say it out loud, but their fear speaks louder than any words. The fact that they fight so hard to control you, to stop you, to drag you down, doesn't that tell you everything? Would they waste this much energy on someone who wasn't a threat to everything they stand for? They spent years trying to unravel what made you different. Now they finally see it, and it terrifies them. You are the one thing they can't measure, the variable they can't predict, the force they can't contain, and that, chosen one, is why they lost before they even began. So mark this moment. If you feel that fire within you, if you've sensed the truth all along, don't just sit in silence. Hit like, subscribe, drop 777 in the comments and claim your power. Every moment you stand in your truth, you reclaim more of what they tried to steal. They thought they were writing your downfall, but now it's your turn to write the future. Number 3. They wanted to control the game, but you were never playing by their rules. They tried to study your downfall, but all they found was their own failure written in your rise. They built their world on control. Every system, every rule, every structure designed to mold people into predictable, obedient shadows of themselves. They needed order. They needed power. They needed everything to go exactly as planned. And for a while, it did. But then you happened. You were the variable they never accounted for, the equation they couldn't solve, the storm they couldn't predict. They watched, analyzed, and plotted, convinced that if they just pressed hard enough, you would break like the rest. They tried to erase your confidence, make you question your path, convince you that you were powerless. They studied your failures, thinking they were signs of your end. But they weren't prepared for what those failures really were: fuel. Every trap they set only sharpened your instincts. Every betrayal only reinforced your resilience. Every setback, a recalibration, not a defeat. And now, here you stand, not broken, not beaten, but unshakable. Do you see it yet? Do you understand why they're afraid? It was never about your past. It was never about what you did or didn't do. It was about what you represent, a force beyond their understanding, beyond their reach, beyond their ability to control. That's why they dig. That's why they scheme. Because their worst nightmare isn't your failure. Their worst nightmare is you realizing what you are. They see it now, and it terrifies them. The universe has been moving in your favor all along. Every so-called failure was just a shift in direction, Every rejection was protection. Every moment of loss was a realignment. They thought they were breaking you down, but all they were doing was pushing you closer to your truth. And now, their plans crumble, their power wavers, their system falters, because they tried to control something that was never meant to be tamed. They wanted you silent. Instead, your name echoes louder than ever. They tried to make you forget who you were. Instead, you remembered, and now they can't forget. So what now, chosen one? Will you still doubt yourself? Will you still question whether you are meant for more? The answer is written in their fear, their desperation, their sudden frantic attempts to rewrite the truth. They see your power before you do, and they know something you still struggle to accept. You were never meant to be small. They thought they were exposing you, but in the end, they only exposed themselves. Number 4. They pulled strings to control you, but you were never their puppet. They turned the world against you, yet the universe itself clears your path. That is what haunts them the most. They thought they had power. They thought their influence, their lies, their carefully constructed illusions could shape the outcome. They spent years pulling strings, whispering poison into ears, trying to turn people against you. They wanted you isolated, outnumbered, cast aside like you never mattered. But what they never considered, the one thing their arrogance refused to acknowledge, is that the universe itself was always on your side. And now, no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they cannot stop what has already begun. They worked tirelessly to convince you that you were alone, that no one would ever understand you, that every step forward was met with resistance because you were wrong. But the truth is, you faced resistance because you were right. Because you were never supposed to fit into their system. You were never supposed to bow to their rules. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to disrupt. And they can't stand it. They wanted to control your story. They dug into your past, thinking they would find something, some flaw, some failure, some moment of weakness that they could twist into a weapon. But what did they really find? Proof. Proof that you were never meant to stay trapped in their world. Proof that every hardship, every challenge, every betrayal only carved out the path the universe was paving for you. Proof that no matter how much they tried to bury you, you only rose higher. And that terrifies them. Because no matter how much power they think they hold, no matter how many schemes they devise, they cannot change what is already in motion. The struggle to control you was never about you. It was about their own fear. Fear of what happens when someone refuses to be manipulated. Fear of what happens when someone steps outside the lines they've drawn. Fear of what happens when someone rises without their approval, without their permission, without their control. They don't want you to realize it, but I'll say it plainly. You don't need them. You never did. And that's why they scramble. That's why they scheme. That's why they whisper behind closed doors, hoping that somehow, some way, they can still steer this in their favor. But it's too late. The universe doesn't err, and it certainly didn't make a mistake when it chose you. They can twist the narrative all they want. They can spread lies, create obstacles, set traps. But the outcome has already been decided. Your rise is inevitable. So let them watch. Let them murmur. Let them pretend they still hold the reins. Because deep down, they know the truth. They lost control the moment you stopped looking for their approval. And now, their biggest mistake wasn't underestimating you. Their biggest mistake was believing they could stop something that was never theirs to control in the first place. The only question left is, do you finally see it? Number 5. They fed the fire to destroy you, But they didn't realize you were the fire. They tried to burn you to ashes, but they forgot. Some souls don't perish in flames. They rise from them. They thought this time would be different. They thought they had finally done enough to keep you down, that this was the moment you would break. They watched, waiting for you to crumble under the weight of their betrayal, their schemes, their relentless attempts to silence you. But they didn't understand what they were dealing with. You weren't built like them. You weren't shaped by comfort or controlled by fear. You were forged in trials, in chaos, in moments where others would have surrendered. They mistook your silence for defeat, your setbacks for failure, your pain for weakness. But every time they buried you, they were only planting something unstoppable. And now, here you are, not just standing, rising. They don't know how to process it. Their world is built on a simple equation. Failure means the end, suffering means submission, and pain is a prison no one escapes. That's the game they play, the rules they force on everyone else. But you never belonged to their system. You were never meant to play by their rules. They counted on you collapsing under the weight of their plans. But instead of breaking, you adapted. Instead of folding, you evolved. And with every move they made against you, the universe realigned itself in your favor. Because this was never about luck. This was never about chance. This was destiny. You weren't just another piece on their board. You were sent to shatter the entire game. They see it now. They know they can't stop it. That's why they watch you so closely. That's why their whispers grow frantic, their plans more desperate. Because no matter how much effort they put into destroying you, it only fuels your rise. And now, they're left with a truth they never wanted to face. They needed you to stay small. They needed you to believe in their limits. Because the moment you saw through the illusion, the moment you realized who you really are, it was over for them. So let them panic. Let them grasp at whatever power they think they still hold. Let them stand in the wreckage of their own design, trying to understand how their best-laid plans only led to their own downfall. Because you're done playing their game. You were never meant to survive their fire. You were meant to become it. So the only question now is, will you keep rising? Will you step into the force that has always been inside you? Or will you still hesitate, still wait for a sign that has been right in front of you all along? Number 6. They used your past as a weapon, but you turned it into your greatest strength. They wanted your scars to shame you, but instead, they became the map that led you to power. They thought they were clever. They thought if they cut you off, if they turned people against you, if they made you question yourself, they could weaken you. They wanted the silence to break you, the betrayals to destroy your trust, the slammed doors to make you doubt your worth. Every move they made was designed to make you fear your own story. But they failed. What they didn't see, what they couldn't see, was that the very darkness they left you in became your greatest gift. While they relied on their numbers, their fake alliances, their titles and connections, you were forced to rely on something far greater, something they will never understand. While they clung to a system built on deception and control, you learned how to stand alone. While they played their games, you sharpened your mind. While they sought validation, you found something far more powerful: clarity. And now, here you are, unshaken, unstoppable. Because the truth is, it was never you who was at risk of falling apart. It was them. They mistook your solitude for weakness, but in reality, it was preparation. They mistook your pain for defeat, but in reality, it was transformation. They mistook your quiet for surrender, but in reality, it was the calm before the storm. And now, the storm is here. They see it. They feel it. That's why they're desperate now, because nothing terrifies them more than someone they can't break. Your past, the very thing they thought would crush you, has become the foundation of something they can't control. You don't fear loss anymore. You don't fear being alone. You don't fear their games, their lies, or their attempts to shake you. Because now, you know, every betrayal was a lesson. Every rejection was a redirection. Every loss was making room for something greater. And with every attack they launched, they only fueled the very force they feared the most, your awakening. And now, they are the ones who are afraid. They see that nothing they throw at you can stop you. They see that every move they make only pushes you further into your power. They see that the very weapons they once used against you have now become useless. They dug into your past, thinking they'd find a reason to tear you down. Instead, all they found was a history of survival, of resilience, of unshakable strength. They thought your past would expose your weakness. Instead, it exposed them. So what now? Will you still hesitate? Will you still look back and question why you had to go through it all? Or will you finally see it for what it was? Preparation for a destiny far greater than their small minds can comprehend. Number 7. They built the game to break you, but you changed the rules. They set the board, stacked the odds, and waited for your fall. But they forgot. Some players weren't meant to follow the rules. Some were born to rewrite them. You were never supposed to make it this far. By their logic, by their design, you should have crumbled under the weight of their betrayals, their manipulations, their relentless attempts to break your spirit. They thought their carefully laid traps would keep you confined, that their systems would ensure your silence. They watched, waiting for the moment you would fall in line, surrender, become another casualty of their game. But here you are, unbroken, unstoppable, and now they're running out of moves. Because you didn't just survive, you adapted. You turned pain into armor, struggles into weapons, and setbacks into the very fuel that propels you forward. They can't understand it. They can't fathom how someone who has endured what you have still refuses to bow, still refuses to break. But that's because they don't understand what you are. They play by rules that were never meant for you. Their world thrives on deception, control, and false power, on illusions designed to keep people weak, to make them believe that suffering is the end, that struggle is defeat. But the universe doesn't work on their terms. The universe doesn't reward corruption. It doesn't honor manipulation. It doesn't preserve those who thrive on deceit. No, the universe aligns itself with the unbreakable. And that is exactly what you have become. Your resilience isn't just survival, it's a force that shifts the tides, rewrites destinies, and turns the hardest betrayals into your greatest breakthroughs. They never saw it coming. They thought they were controlling the game, but with every attack, with every failed attempt to destroy you, the power shifted in your favor. Every time they underestimated you, they exposed another weakness in their system. And now, the entire board is collapsing beneath them. They don't know what to do. Because their strategies have failed, their narratives no longer hold power. The tricks they once used to control others no longer work on you. They see it now. Their influence is slipping. Their reach is shrinking. Their game is unraveling. And you are still rising. So tell me, chosen one, why would you ever doubt yourself again? If they, your enemies, the very people who tried to bury you, now stand in fear of what you've become, what does that tell you? They knew your power before you did. That's why they fought so hard to break you. That's why they spent years setting traps, twisting truths, manipulating those around you. Because even before you realized who you were, they saw it. But now, it's too late. Now, you see it too. Now, they're the ones questioning everything. They're the ones trying to understand how someone they tried so hard to erase has become unstoppable. They're the ones losing control, watching as the system they built no longer serves them. And you've shifted the entire game. So let them watch, let them scramble, let them whisper in confusion, because this story was never theirs to write. It was always yours. Number 8. They thought they were burying you, but you were taking root. The storm they created is the same one that now consumes them. The past they tried to use against you has become the force that buries them instead. Now they have nothing left but fear. They thought they were in control. They thought their schemes, their betrayals, their relentless attacks would be enough to erase you. They believed that if they could dig up your past, twist your truth, and weaponize your pain, they could keep you contained. But they overlooked something crucial, something that has sealed their fate. You were never meant to be stopped. And now they are watching helplessly as the very storm they helped create turns back to devour them. The past they tried to use against you has become the foundation of your strength. The wounds they inflicted have turned into weapons they cannot disarm. Every time they pushed you into the fire, they thought they were watching your destruction. Instead, they were only forging something indestructible. And now, there is nothing they can do to stop it. They tried to bury you in shame, but all they did was give you depth. They tried to erase your name, but now it echoes louder than ever. They tried to trap you in fear, but now they are the ones running from their own shadows. Because the truth is clear, unshakable, unyielding. You didn't just survive, you became unstoppable. They thought your history would weaken you, that digging into your past would uncover something they could use to break your spirit. They assumed they would find regret, insecurity, something fragile. But instead, all they uncovered was a warrior. They wanted your scars to make you ashamed, but instead, they became proof of your power. They wanted your struggles to define you, but instead, they became the force that refined you. And now, they are left with nothing but regret. Because every move they made against you was a step toward their own downfall. Every betrayal, every lie, every attempt to silence you has only fueled your rise. They see it now. They see that the person they tried to break no longer exists. That version of you, the one who questioned, who hesitated, who still sought validation from those who never deserved your loyalty, is gone. And what remains? A force that cannot be contained. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to fit into their system. You were never meant to be controlled. And now, they know it. So let them panic. Let them scramble for answers, grasp at whatever illusions they have left. Let them watch as everything they once believed about you crumbles into dust. Because the truth stands, undeniable, unshakable. You have won. They thought this would be your ending, but this was only the beginning. They tried to write your downfall, but all they did was set the stage for your rise. And now, the choice is yours. Will you own your power? Will you step fully into what you were always meant to be? Will you let the past be the force that pushes you forward, instead of something that holds you back? Because this is your victory. Number 9. They thought your scars were weakness, but you made them your armor. The weight they thought would break you became the very force that made you unshakable. They were so sure of themselves. They watched your struggles, your hardships, your pain, and assumed it was only a matter of time before you collapsed under the pressure. They mistook your battle scars for open wounds. They believed your past would trap you, that the weight of what you've endured would hold you down forever. But they were wrong, because a true warrior does not carry their scars as chains. They wear them as armor. Every trial, every betrayal, every loss. They weren't meant to destroy you. They were meant to shape you. And now, every step you take is proof that you didn't just survive, you conquered. And that terrifies them. They tried to write your story as one of defeat, but the moment they saw the truth, that narrative crumbled. They wanted you to drown in your history, to be consumed by the pain of your past. But instead, you built your strength from it. They thought the past would weigh you down. Instead, it became the foundation that lifted you higher. Now, they are the ones who tremble. Because what they once saw as your suffering, they now recognize as your awakening. They see the resilience in your eyes, the power in your presence, the force of someone who has walked through fire and emerged untouched. They realize now, there is nothing they can throw at you that you have not already endured. They have no more weapons left. Your struggles didn't make you weak. They didn't make you fragile. They made you untouchable. Every loss sharpened your focus. Every setback refined your vision. Every moment they counted you out only gave you more clarity, more drive, more proof that nothing can hold you back. And now they have to face what they never wanted to admit. You are not a victim of your past. You are the one who overcame it. You are not drowning in regret. You are rising in power. You are not weighed down by what you've endured. You are strengthened by it. They see it now, and that's why they're afraid. Because you are not broken. You are built. Built by the very struggles they thought would destroy you. Built by the betrayals they believed would shatter you. Built by the pain they thought would silence you. But they didn't silence you. They amplified you. So what now? Will you still look back and question why you had to go through it all? Will you still doubt your strength when even your enemies have acknowledged it? Because make no mistake, they know. They know now that you cannot be stopped. They know now that your past is not your prison. It's your proof. They know now that every attempt to break you was just another step toward your rise. And now, it's time for you to know it too. Number 10. They thought they could stop you, but you were never in their hands to begin with. The fire that should have consumed you only forged you. The weight that should have crushed you only made you rise. And now, they are the ones who fear what comes next. They can no longer deny it. They can no longer question it. The same past they tried to use as a weapon against you is the very reason they fear you now. If you could walk through fire and emerge stronger, if you could take every betrayal, every loss, every closed door and turn it into fuel, what could they possibly do to stop you now? The answer is simple: nothing. They see it now, the reason you were chosen, the reason you can never be controlled, the reason no matter how hard they try to manipulate, twist, or break you, you keep stepping into your power. Because the universe doesn't make mistakes. It shaped you with purpose. It sent challenges that would have obliterated anyone else, knowing you wouldn't just survive, you would rise. And that is why they panic. That is why they grasp at illusions, why they keep trying to redefine your story. Because if they accept the truth, that you were never meant to be contained, then they must also accept that their power was never as absolute as they believed. Their system was never built to control someone like you. You were never meant to be ordinary. That's why your journey was never meant to be simple. They never stood a chance. Now, as they watch, they don't see a person they destroyed. They see the undeniable proof of their own failure. They see that they didn't expose you, didn't weaken you, didn't erase you. Instead, they confirmed what you always knew. You were built for this. Let them dig. Let them search. Let them twist your story, turn it inside out, rewrite it however they please. It won't work. It can't work. Because you have already passed every test. You have proven your strength. You have already won. And now their biggest mistake is laid bare. They thought their power was absolute. They thought their control was final. They believed they could shape outcomes, dictate who rises and who falls, who thrives and who disappears. But the one thing they never accounted for was you. You were never bound by their rules. You were never trapped in their system. And now they know it. So what will you do with this truth? Will you let hesitation creep back in? Will you still look at your past and wonder if it should hold you back? Or will you finally step fully into what has always been yours? This is your moment. Your rise is not up for debate. Your strength is no longer a question. The only thing left to do is own it. Number 11. They tried to map your downfall, but all they found was your destiny. They dug for flaws, for weakness, for something to break you. Instead, they unearthed a force beyond their control, a purpose so powerful it shakes foundations and bends reality itself. They were sure they had you cornered. They traced every step, examined every scar, dissected every moment of your past, convinced that somewhere, they would find a breaking point, a flaw, a wound so deep it would shatter your confidence. But they didn't find a victim. They didn't find someone lost, someone broken, someone begging for acceptance. What they found was a force they never expected. What they uncovered was a will so unshakable it rewrote the very narrative they tried to impose on you. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. You were never meant to be controlled. They thought your past defined you. They thought it was your prison, a set of chains keeping you bound to the limits they created. But all it ever was, the only thing it ever was a blueprint, a map, a story written by the universe itself. Each hardship a lesson, each betrayal a test, each so-called failure another step toward something far greater. The fire didn't consume you, it refined you. The storms didn't wash you away, they cleared your path. They searched for chains and found only proof that you were already free. And now they grow restless, because the system they built, the one meant to control, to limit, to suppress, is beginning to crumble in the face of your defiance. You defy every rule they thought was unbreakable. You are the variable they could never predict, the one outcome they could never manipulate. And that is why they fear you. They never feared the weak. They never feared those who followed. They feared someone exactly like you, someone who refused to submit, refused to conform, refused to accept the reality they imposed. Someone who walked through their fire and did not burn. And now you have become their greatest nightmare, because you've proven the one thing they could never allow, that no structure, no system, no illusion of control can hold back the will of the universe. You weren't put here to follow. You weren't meant to be just another name lost in their records, another cog in their machine. You were born to break their illusions, to rise above their limits, to show that true power is not given, it is claimed. And now, there's nothing left for them to do but watch as the truth they tried so hard to suppress takes shape before their very eyes. So tell me, chosen one, do you finally see it? Will you still let hesitation hold you back? Will you still let the past be a weight when it was always meant to be your wings? Or will you take what is already yours, step into what you were always meant to be? Because the game is over. The final lesson has been learned. They thought they had power. They thought they had control. But now they know they were never writing your story. The universe was, and the universe, it never makes mistakes. Number 12. They dug for weakness, but all they found was a warrior. They thought your past would expose you. Instead, it exposed their failure. Now they scramble, desperate to stop what cannot be undone. Now they are panicking. The whispers have grown frantic. Their secret meetings, their investigations, their endless attempts to rewrite your story, they are all driven by one thing: fear. Fear that no matter what they do, no matter how many traps they set, no matter how much they conspire, they cannot stop what is meant to be. They thought if they dug deep enough, they would find something to use against you. A mistake, a flaw, a scar so deep that it would finally break you. But instead of unearthing evidence of a downfall, they found something else. Something that has shattered their illusion of control. They found proof. Proof that every mark on you, every trial you've endured, every moment of pain they inflicted only made you stronger. They thought suffering would leave you broken. They thought betrayal would leave you lost. They thought hardship would weigh you down. Instead, you wear it like armor. Every test the universe threw at you prepared you. Every loss sharpened your instincts. Every setback made you more than you were before. They wanted to uncover weakness. Instead, they confirmed your power. And now, they are the ones trembling. Because the narrative they built, the one where you were broken, where you were defeated, where you were nothing more than a product of your past, it has crumbled. They thought they could define you by your history. They thought your past would be your prison. But you didn't drown in it. You conquered it. They wanted you to stay trapped, weighed down by everything you've been through. They needed you to believe that your pain was a curse, that your struggles were proof of failure. But now they know the truth. Your past was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you. Your wounds were never meant to weaken you. They were meant to fortify you. Your struggles were never proof of your defeat. They were proof that nothing can stop you. And that is why they are afraid. Because they cannot rewrite what has already been written. They cannot undo the strength you've built. They cannot erase the truth. You were never meant to be controlled. You were never meant to fit into their system. You were never meant to play by their rules. And now, they have no power left. Because every lie they told about you has unraveled. Every scheme they plotted has failed. Every attempt to erase you has only made you more unstoppable. So let them whisper. Let them panic. Let them gather in secret, trying to find one last move. It won't work. Because this is the final shift. This is the moment where they realize, once and for all, that their time is up, that nothing they do will ever change the outcome, that they were never in control. You were always meant to rise. And now, the only question that remains is, will you step fully into what has already been decided? Will you still let doubt creep in when even your enemies have accepted the truth about you? Or will you claim what was always yours? Because the time for hesitation is over. The past is no longer a weight. It is your foundation. The pain is no longer a burden, it is your strength. And the system that once sought to contain you, it is collapsing under the weight of its own lies. Number 13. They thought they were exposing you, but all they did was reveal their own weakness. They dug into your past, searching for something to break you. Instead, they uncovered the truth. Your strength is not borrowed, not fabricated, but earned. And that is why they fear you. Now, they are out of moves. They can't question your strength. They can't rewrite your story. The past they tried to use as a weapon is the very reason they fear you now. Because if you survived everything they threw at you, what else are you capable of? They underestimated you from the start. They assumed hardship would make you fragile. They believed that if they peeled back the layers, they would find someone weak, someone afraid, someone still trapped by old wounds. Instead, they found raw power, unshaken, uncontrolled, beyond their reach. And now, they don't know what to do. They built an illusion of strength for themselves, a system designed to make them feel powerful. But your strength was never an illusion. It was earned. It was tested. It was proven. That's why they can't grasp it. They exist in a world that rewards deceit, manipulation, and the fragile pretense of power. But you have no mask, no false authority, no borrowed influence. Everything you are is real, and that is why they fear you. They searched for cracks in your armor, convinced that eventually they would find the flaw that would shatter you. But every place they expected to find weakness, they found only reinforcement. Every time they thought you would crumble, you grew even stronger. And now, there is nothing they can do to stop you. They thought this was a game. They thought they could win by exposing your struggles. But in doing so, they revealed just how unstoppable you are. They planned your downfall, but all it did was announce your arrival. And the weight of that truth? It suffocates them. Because now they realize the biggest mistake they ever made was thinking they could define your limits. Every betrayal, every obstacle, every loss, none of it broke you. It pushed you closer to your true power. They thought they were hunting you, but in reality, they were chasing their own fear. They wanted to shatter your image, to turn you into a cautionary tale. But in the process, they shattered their own illusions. Now, they are left grasping at shadows, trying to comprehend the force they have unleashed. Because you are beyond their expectations, beyond their control, beyond anything they could have prepared for. And there is nothing left for them to do but watch. So let them watch. Let them scramble. Let them whisper behind closed doors, trying to find a way to rewrite a fate that is already sealed. Because this is your story. And no matter how hard they tried to change it, the universe already decided the outcome. So, chosen one, if you feel this truth, if you know this message was meant for you, drop 777 in the comments, hit like and subscribe. Let this moment be the one where you own your power completely. And before we go, we want to thank you, the ones who inspire us to keep creating, to keep speaking truth, to keep reminding you of the power that has always been within you. If our work has touched your heart and you'd like to show your support, you can click the Super Thanks button on your YouTube screen. Every bit of your kindness fuels this mission, and we are forever grateful for you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, stay strong, and never forget who you are.